Hello everyone, hope you are well. I wanted to continue on my Legend series, and today I wanted to give Desmond Haynes of West Indies, who was one of the greatest opening batsmen, without any doubt, and definitely one of the greatest opening partnership of all time, together with the great Gordon Greenidge. He was born 15th February 1956 in Barbados. He's also another player from Barbados. A lot of big players coming from Barbados, West Indies. And first class cricket, he played for Middlesex, and he also played for a couple of seasons with Western Province in South Africa. And by the way, Desmond Haynes had the world record for the most number of one day international runs and one day international centuries before it was broken. I mean, it was broken by Mohammad Asharuddin, the runs, and the centuries was 17 centuries was broken by Sachin Tendulkar in 1998. In all, he played 116 Test matches for West Indies, and he scored 7,487 runs at an average of 42.29, and he scored 18 hundreds, and his highest was 184 that came against England in 1980 at the Lord's Cricket Ground. And in one day internationals, he played 238 matches and he scored 8,648 runs, which was a world record at that time. And he scored 17 hundreds in one day internationals, which was also a world record that time. And his average was 41.27 in one days, and his highest was 152 not out, which came against India in Georgetown, West Indies as well. And in first class cricket, he scored more than 26,000 runs with 61 hundreds. So that is Desmond Haynes' statistics. And in 1991, he was selected as one of the Wisden Cricketers of the Year as well. And I remember when I was watching cricket late 80s as a youngster, I mean, I fell in love with cricket, watching people like Sunil Gavaskar and also Desmond Haynes and Greenidge, and I fell in love with that maroon helmet of West Indies. It's almost like Greenidge and Haynes never wanted to get out. I mean, when I watched as a kid, they looked like they were never going to get out, and normally they would get 100 plus big partnership, and Greenidge would get out first in the 60s. I mentioned in his video, and Haynes would go on to get 100 as well. I mean, they were an unbelievable batting partnership, and they are definitely regarded as one of the greatest in the history of cricket. I mean, definitely the one that I have seen of all opening partnership, I would say they were the best because they were just a destructive pair. And Desmond Haynes, obviously being an opening batsman, I mean, and especially coming from West Indies, was very good against pace. He was a very good cutter and puller and hooker, and also obviously a cutter. And he was very, very good with the cover drive as well. And he has a lot of records in his name. I mean, his one-day international debut was in 1978, and he scored 148 versus Australia at Antigua in West Indies, and that is the highest score by an ODI debutant in one-day internationals, and it is also the fastest century by an one-day international debutant. So that is two records that he holds, and he's also one of the two players. Dean Elgar is the other one. He's one of the only two players who has carried his bat three times in Test cricket, which means you open the batting and you get knocked out. I mean, at the end of the innings, he has done it three times, and he's also one of the two players. Dennis Amiss of England was the other one. I mean, Desmond Haynes is one of the only two players in the history of cricket to get a century on one-day international debut, and also a century on their last in their last match, one-day match. So that is a rare record that he has as well. And the 1800s that he scored in Test cricket, I mean, 12 of them came on different cricket grounds around the world, which is also a very rare thing because normally some players favor a certain ground and they score a lot of hundreds in that ground. But it is 18 centuries. I mean, 12 of them came in different cricket grounds. It's a rare thing. And his 184, I mean, was the highest score against England at Lord's. And he was really good. I mean, he once scored an excellent 143 against Australia in 1989 at the SCG, the Sydney Cricket Ground, where in the second innings where the ball was turning a lot. It was like a dust bowl, and he showed his class against spin, because initially Desmond Haynes wasn't that good against spin, but he improved his technique against the spin bowlers and was very good against spin and pace later. I mean, obviously he was very good against pace, being from West Indies and an opening batsman. And he announced his retirement in 1997 when he played a first-class match for Western Province against Natal as well. So he playing in South Africa like a lot of West Indian batsmen has done. And once Wisden was all praised for Desmond Haynes, and they said about his timing, and they said the combination of Desmond Haynes' timing and his power as well. But they said his power was hardly ever seen. I mean, even though he really the ball really went to the boundary fast. It never looked like he was clubbing the ball. I mean, there was a lot of timing in Desmond Haynes' batting, and I would really recommend a lot of people to please go and watch highlights on YouTube of Desmond Haynes and Gordon Greenidge. You will never regret it. Desmond Haynes was a wonderful batsman. I mean, he used to really cover drive the ball very well and obviously pull and cut as well. Please do watch Greenidge and Haynes' batting together. And like I said, I mean, he was someone who held the records for West Indies. I mean, his 8,648 and the 1700s was international world records in his name. And he's also one of the few players in cricket that was given out to handle the ball. That happens against India once. And out of his 1800s, test hundreds, five of the test hundreds came against Australia, which shows that he was very good. I mean, obviously, any batsman would love to have a very good average against Australia or West Indies in the old times because they had a very good bowling attack. And his six one-day hundreds out of his 17 one-day hundreds also came against Australia, which shows that he was very good against Australia and that I mean, against the best bowlers, he really fared well, which is a very commendable effort from Desmond Haynes' part. I mean, him together with Gordon Greenidge was excellent. They scored so many runs, and he was very successful for Middlesex as well, the county cricket, where he scored tons of runs. And Desmond Haynes and Greenidge, I mean, they were really some batting manager. I mean, everyone who used to watch them in the 80s, early 90s a little bit, they will never forget the Desmond Haynes and Greenidge. It's almost like a cult, I would say. I mean, they were really astonishing as a batting partnership. I mean, they were really pure, elegant stroke makers. And Gordon Greenidge was excellent, like I said in his video, and Desmond Haynes complimented him very well as well. I mean, out of the two, Desmond Haynes was the more patient batsman, and he had a more measured approach to the batting. Gordon Greenidge was more attacking, and he used to mostly get out in the 60s in one-day internationals, especially like I mentioned in his video. But Desmond Haynes used to keep batting, and he used to go on and make the big scores. I mean, that is why he had 17 one-day hundreds in his name. I mean, and in those times, I mean, 17 one-day hundreds was a lot. I mean, like I said, I mean, if it had to be the world record, I mean, you can imagine how difficult it was to get one-day hundreds at that time. You had to bat long time, and Desmond Haynes definitely did that. And he, after selection, I mean, he was also a selector like a chairman of the selectors for the Barbados Cricket Association in West Indies. So Desmond Haynes holding some positions as well. So just a quick recap before I finish my video. He did hold the records for the most number of one-day runs and most one-day centuries. And he is only one of the two batsmen in the history of cricket to carry the bat three times. And he is also one of two players in the history of cricket to score a one-day hundred on debut and a century in the last match. So these are some of the very unique records in Desmond Haynes' name, and he's also one of the very few players who was out handle the ball in cricket. So that is my video on Desmond Haynes, one of the greatest opening batsmen of all time and an absolute legend for West Indies. And he's one of the highest in the list of century makers for West Indies as well. I mean, he was someone, I mean, in international cricket with 17, 18, he made 35 hundreds in international cricket. I mean, test and one day together. And at that time, I mean, that was a lot. So he was an astonishing batsman. I would really recommend a lot of people to please watch YouTube to see Desmond Haynes and Gordon Greenidge batting. I mean, a lot of youngsters wouldn't even know Desmond Haynes and Gordon Greenidge, but you have to know the history of cricket, and you have to see the best opening partnership in the world, probably, that I would definitely say really attacking and really elegant as well. So that is my video on Desmond Haynes. Hope you have enjoyed it. Please take care and God bless you.